All right, welcome back. Hey there, podcast fam. We are ready. We are excited. I'm very excited.
I'm
Tiffany?
excited. Thrilled.
You know what I'm very excited for? We have cards.
We're
These
prepared.
cards. Yeah, we're prepared. So I want to shout out to Tiffany for creating these. But yes, welcome to Please Hold, where it is a podcast about two sisters who are tackling the world of the underappreciated world of CS and all things that come along with it. So, Tiffany, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about how to build and mentor a successful team.
Ooh.
With a special guest.
Yes, we got a special guest today, guys. Woo! I'm very excited.
Yes.
So today, like, this is our very, very first guest that we've ever had. So we're coming up in the world because somebody finally said yes. So so today's episode is all about how to build and mentor a strong and successful team, where today's guest will be sharing her journey of how she built and mentored her teams and the success she had. So grab a drink, sit back, and let's get started.
Yes.
Alrighty. So now, before we delve into today's episode, let's take a moment to introduce our guest, right?
Yes. All eyes on me.
Today's guest is not only our very, very dear friend, but she was also our mentor at our previous company. And so everyone, I want to introduce you to our very good friend and our amazing mentor, Twhyla. Twhyla is currently the Senior Director of Client Support. And before that, she was our boss at our previous company.
She was VP. She was
VP.
very important.
She was very important. Yeah, very, very important individual. She still is a very important individual in our lives. So everybody give it a round of applause for Twhyla. Yes. All right. So, Twhyla, we are very happy to have you here. Thank you, one, for being our guest on our podcast. We've got some questions for you. You know everything, and when it comes to building a team, putting a team together. She's looking at us crazy, y'all. But you know what it takes to do that. One of the questions that we
hold on, wait, before we gotta.
Oh yeah, I do it.
Please
every time.
Go ahead, like, subscribe. You know, follow us on Instagram at PleaseHold_podcast, and you can listen, watch wherever you get your podcast and Spotify, what have you. And thank you for the support. And before we delve right in and just dump into the questions,
Twhyla, it's our first guest.
Yeah,
like, look,
you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
I mean, I think Ashley kind of took care of all of that, but I would like to take the time real quick to say thank you for having me. I am thrilled to be a part of this with the both of you. I am super ecstatic about this journey that you're both on, and anytime I get to spend with the both of you, of course, I welcome that. So let's do it.
Yes. The feeling is very mutual.
Yes.
We love you. Right. So thank you, Tiffany, because
I gotta get you. I gotta get you every time.
Every time I always go past the whole like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff. But Tiffany always keeps me straight. So yes, let's dive in, right? Twhyla, one of the first questions that we have for you, like you said, we said that you really are great at building a team. You have the experience of being able to do that for several different companies. We've also watched you do that our time underneath you. So how do you ensure diversity and inclusion in your team building efforts, and what strategies do you use to identify top talent?
Okay, so you may not like what I'm about to say.
Ooh.
I don't necessarily look to hire based upon diversity.
Okay.
All right, I'm looking for just the top talent. It doesn't matter to me what your heritage is, what your background, what race you are, none of that, gender. None of that matters to me. What matters to me is, can I tell whether or not you're a good person, right? I feel like a resume kind of gets your foot in the door, but the interview, that's really where you're going to be able to tell whether or not somebody is just a good individual to their core, right? I feel like I can teach anybody anything if they're the right type of individual that wants to learn and wants to help people. So again, doesn't matter to me what your background is. Are you the right person for that? And that's really how I tackle all of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, you got to find the right people because it's hard out here. And people be lying on their resumes. Let's just say.
And
I lied on my resume. I'm just kidding.
and I don't always get it right either. I mean, we've experienced that. Collectively, we have done interviews of individuals that we've been like, yeah, we really, think that this person's going to really work out, and they end up not doing so much, and you kind of question, oh, what did I not catch during the interview process? But
Yeah.
you're not going to be right 100% of the time. But again, I just look, are you a good person? Do you have that kind of heart? That's how I look at it.
How do you identify or do you ever feel that when you're hiring somebody that you're kind of you're like, man, like I'm taking a risk on this person, and like how do you decide that you know deep down that okay, this person could be a really they could do the job. I know that they can do the job, but there's something else that's kind of just in your spirit. You're like,
It's that gut
yeah,
feeling,
it's that
right?
gut feeling, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to put that into words, but I think the part of the reason why you asked that is because you felt it too,
Mm-hmm.
where it's been like, this person really probably under normal circumstances we wouldn't hire, but there was something about them. I can't put my finger on it, but my gut tells me that they would be a good fit. So I can't put that into words, but it happens. It
Yeah.
happens all the time.
Yeah, no, it does. I've had some experiences that I'm like, man, I'm taking a risk on you because you are definitely a flight risk for sure. The interview was a little shaky, but you have that hunger, you have that drive, and sometimes that's really for me. I know that you can do the job, right? The
Right.
job, depending on what we're hiring for, it may not be. It's not rocket science. Do you have a good personality? Can you connect with the people that you need to connect with, and do what you need to do? But it's just you need some polishing.
Don't embarrass me.
Right.
Yeah.
But even on top of that too, it's like when you get out of a good interview, you're psyched.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I am so excited that this person is going to be joining our team. I just can't wait. It's such a good feeling. Again, that's all the kind of stuff that you cannot put into words or even describe how it is.
Yeah.
You just have to feel it. And I think that goes back to, when I'm interviewing, it's a feeling. I work a lot off of how I'm feeling.
So your gut, working off your gut.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, next question. So, now a little into your leadership and management style. Now, I might be biased, but so a little backstory, when she first came on to our previous company, okay, I was like,
I looked it up on LinkedIn.
well, first of all, I was trying to figure out how do you say her name. I was like, who is this? And yeah, so Tiffany and we looked her up and we were like, is she black? We couldn't figure out. We were like, no, she her name, she got a black name. Let's we don't know how to pronounce it, but we're pretty sure she's black. She got a little bit of black in her. And so we were really timid about when you were about to come onto the team, and I think God blessed us, for sure, because
he did.
He was like, nah, y'all need her for sure. And from then on, it's been just magic. And it was like that from the very, very, very beginning.
Because I don't think a lot of people, I mean, wherever you work, you're gonna have a boss, you're gonna have someone you answer to, and I think a majority of the time you just, you understand that that's your boss, and you just got to do what they say, and you don't really have a relationship with them, and there's not an understanding. But with you, I remember you pulled me in for that first 30-minute, let's just get to know each other, and I was like, fine, start. I had my walls up. But then I realized, man, she's pretty great. And she's a normal person, and she's understanding, and okay. I feel nice and warm inside, and everything was gonna be okay.
Yeah. Because it's a scary feeling when you definitely get a new boss in. So question for you, into your leadership and management style, how do you handle conflict and challenges within a team, right? Especially when coming into a new team where it's already kind of maybe already pre-built. How do you kind of deal with that?
Okay, so you were talking about how, when a new boss comes in, it's scary for you.
Mm-hmm.
When you're on the other side of it and you're coming into the organization as the new boss, it's also scary, right? Because you don't know what you're going to get. You're inheriting a team that you hope that they're good so that your job's a lot easier. I got very lucky with you guys and the rest of the green light team. I did. It hasn't always been that way, everywhere else. But um, in terms of like, how do I handle like when there's conflict on the team? I let you guys duke it out. I mean, really, it was always, anytime there was any kind of conflict, I would always hear, one person story, just to hear it out and just kind of talk it through, and hear the other person when they came to me and talk it through, and then give you advice on how to handle it
Yeah.
by yourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, because ultimately, you've got to come to an understanding. At the end of the day, you have to work together no matter what.
Yeah.
There's going to be conflict at work all the time. There's going to be conflict in life in general. I'm sure the two of you, as close as you are as sisters,
Yeah,
probably fight.
Yeah.
At this. I know you guys fight. I am aware.
Yeah.
I'm aware of some actually. So, so
Got my camera off today.
so when there is conflict, though, yes, I think as a leader and just as somebody that just is just naturally a nurturing type of individual, you always wanted everything to be better. You wanted to sprinkle the magic fairy dust and say, "Oh, stop fighting. Everything's going to be fine." You can't. I mean, that's not reality. But it is important that whenever there is conflict on the team, though, that you allow those individuals to come to an understanding with each other, but help like the conflict resolution piece of that. Like I would guide the pieces, but at the end of it all, I wanted the both of you or anybody else that was with having the conflict to feel like they came to that resolution together, and it wasn't because Twhyla said so.
Right.
Yeah. So how do you kind of like identify leadership, right? Because as being in a VP role, you also have to kind of bring those as part of like a mentorship, right? You're mentoring individuals. How do you identify leaders that are underneath you? And how do you kind of like mentor them up?
Well, there's a certain, again, how do you describe when your gut tells you something, Um, you're going to work with people, and I have historically too, that say that I want to do more, or, I want to do this and I want to do that. And you can look at them and go, I just don't see you in that capacity. But it's important to anybody that's interested in a leadership type role down the road to give them those opportunities to fail, right? You know that they're likely going to, they have to, because that's how you learn the best. So I will say that is, I know you didn't ask this question, but one of the things that I do feel is very, very important as a leader is to allow your team to fail. Give them opportunity to do that, because you learn so much more from it when you do the fail, when you're experiencing the failure. Allowing them to be able to fail too without ripping their head off for it. Like it's a learning experience.
Right.
And we did a lot of that. We saw a lot of that happen. But, how do I identify whether people are going to be good leaders or not? Again, that is really tough to pinpoint. I think it initially has to come from the individual kind of showing their interest, right? And then from there, just giving them opportunities to work on, special things here or there, coming together afterwards and showing, okay, this is how you could have handled that, better, or this is the advice I could give you, giving and continuing to give those opportunities until you come to that, decision as to whether or not that really is the right path for them.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with the failure part. I think there are times that maybe it wasn't very like blatant, but I know that like, between Tiffany and I that we failed, like whether it was like meant like leading some of the portions of the team. Because when you're a new leader, you don't always know everything, right? Like it's just not possible. And no one's a perfect leader. People are going to fail. So I definitely agree with you in the fact that like allowing people to do that. I mean, I think some people will be like shocked to hear and be like, "Oh, well, you got to let people fail," but like that is the only way that they're ever going to learn.
Yeah. And spoiler alert, I've actually, been doing this for quite some time. I'm going to fail again. I'll probably fail tomorrow in something, I mean, that's just how it is. And I'm going to learn from it. I don't have all the answers, and I am very vocal about that, even in my current role now, and it's so important to again, you didn't ask the question, but I feel like it's important to showcase that as a leader, the humility needs to be there, and understanding that, look, I don't
Yeah.
have all the answers, and I want to surround myself with people that I enjoy working with because they're good people, and B, that are smarter than me in areas that I'm just not as well
Yeah.
versed in.
Smarter than you. Because like or there's some people are like that are in higher up roles, and I'm like, how the hell did you get here?
Every day.
Every day.
No comment.
Yeah.
On to the next question. So, how do you make sure like to keep a positive like culture within the team and like keep your team motivated?
Oh man, one thing that I will say that I feel like I'm very good at is keeping the environment positive, right? And how do I do that? What am I joking around? Look,
Mm,
we spend, and it's cliche, but it is true. We spend more time together with those that we work with than we do our actual like family,
Yeah.
right?
true.
Let's enjoy the time that we're spending together then. Yes, we all have a job to do. We all have goals that we need to meet. But man, it's going to be so much easier for us to meet those goals if we're having a good time while doing it.
Yeah.
So, we would have our friendly banter. Again, where we worked was a remote only environment. Where I am currently is a remote only environment too. So it's the same situation where um, you're not in the same office space together physically. So you have to find ways to keep that morale and that energy up.
Yeah.
So you do it through, Slack is what we use as well, creating the different channels of fun and everything. And we have one, where I am now, and we joke,
Yeah.
and we would do, what was it? The Ashley lame jokes,
Oh
that you
yeah.
would throw
Oh,
in
like the
there.
dad jokes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so bad.
And those, no, we did what I did the Snapple facts
Yeah, the facts that ended up not being a fact,
fact.
but yeah, we won't get
Something
into
about
that. But
Philadelphia. I don't know.
yeah,
Philadelphia.
yeah, we won't. It's kind of an inside joke, so we won't get into that. But and just kind of like the this or that type of questions. I mean, I think that if you were to ask anybody that was on our team together now, like, what do you remember about Twyla?
Yeah.
One of the things that we'll probably say is she prefers waffles over pancakes,
Pancakes.
right? Because you do the whole like this or that, and then it becomes like a debate type of thing, but it's all in good fun.
Yeah.
So important to have that. Like honestly, the type of day that we had today at work was something happened. There was an outage, so of course when that happens, volume increases, and right away I was in the channels going, "We're gonna one day at a time, one interaction at a time. It's all good. Don't stress."
GSD.
Yeah, there's a little GSD emoji for Slack here. So with it's me, by the way. So those types of things are important. Just reinforce that kind of stuff to the team and let them know that you guys are doing a good job. And all I or anybody could ever ask of you is that you do your best.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. So, in that kind of same realm, like what methods do you use to kind of motivate your team members and keep them engaged in their work, right? Work is going to, at some point, that shit gets boring. Like, if you're doing the same thing over and over again, especially if you're in a call center, right? You're tired of talking to people, these people be rude as hell. Like, it's just like, how do you
Can
keep
be.
them kind of engaged and kind of focused on the work and kind of motivated?
I think that it goes back to not again. It's gonna bring up a whole other kind of thing here, but I personally think the relationships you build with those that are on your team are so vital and just paramount.
Mm.
And um, I do feel as though I can say it is for me, and I think I felt the same from you guys too, that you are willing to kind of do a little bit more if you have if you respect who you're reporting to.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
if I have if I respect who I'm reporting to, I want to do a little bit. I don't want to let them down.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to ever have to worry about what Twyla's doing or what Twyla's team is doing. I want them to feel confident that everything's okay. So it goes the same, even though I feel that way about my boss, I want it, my team to feel the same way about me. So, and it's kind of crazy to say this. It's sad, but there are a lot of organizations where the leaders don't invest in building those relationships, with their team. Like with us, with how I've always approached it is, I have weekly one-on-ones with my direct reports and make sure that my direct reports have one-on-ones with their direct reports.
Mhm.
You've got to have that time with the employee manager relationship is so important, and I
Yeah.
think that some companies do overlook that.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of companies they don't know who works for them. They don't know those people. They don't really care. They're like, as long as this person comes in, clocks in, does their job, and I'm not gonna really invest in time into them. But it's important for your people to like make sure that they feel appreciated, to feel like, oh, I'm part of a team. I'm not gonna go with family because now we start getting kind of cultish. But,
Who doesn't like a good cult?
oh.
I will say though, like what we had felt like it.
Oh, what we had was no one can ever recreate that. You always said like, this will never be again. We'll never have this again. But like, it's something that will last forever, and it really has. Because with all of us now, like pretty much separated and to have dispersed into different parts of our lives now, like we all still are very much connected. Like we are a family, but these other people out there, you ain't never gonna be like us. Ever.
You missed out. It was a time.
It was a time.
It was a time. Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's that what we formed and the relationships that we built during that time really has gotten to where it's what we are now. And the experience within leadership, the mentorship from you, like that was paramount for us to be successful, and for us to take that and go on to the next stage of our lives, right? And just being able to take the experience that we had at that previous company and apply it to the next stage of our lives is just so important. And I mean, I'm indebted and forever grateful to you for that.
And again, I was able to do that because it was provided to me, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I have a mentor, so it trickles down. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is it means so much more if you're able to then give that mentorship to somebody else, and it continues down that chain.
Yeah. But I think the rest of the team felt, our team at that company felt like, oh man, like y'all really care about us. And it should be that way anywhere. Like you should be felt cared about, like I know I don't need you to come to my house and have cookies, but I want you to like, my boss cares like that I'm sick today, like, or cares that like, hey, is willing to take the effort to say, hey, like, let's talk about like what you missed on here and how you can do better, how you can fix it, how you can grow. And that's something like, everybody needs. Like no one really wants to stay in one position in a company. They want to grow. Most people, I mean,
Some people do.
Some people some people are content.
People were like, "Nah, leave me here. I'm good. Don't like."
But just
fine.
know that if you had invited me over for cookies, like I can eat some cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does cookies and wine go together?
I don't know.
Okay. Right. Well, and next the question. Let's dive into balancing tasks and relationships. How do you balance the need for achieving tasks and building strong interpersonal relationships within the team? I know that's a loaded question.
I don't think that there needs to be a balance.
Okay.
In other words, again, my approach, my leadership style is so people focused, so relationship focused that if that foundation is there, the tasks are going to get done, and they're going to get done at a high level.
Right.
So focus. That's how I approach it. That's my focus.
Gotcha.
Because they want to make you proud.
Yes.
Care about
and
you.
I want
And
you
they-
to make me proud, and I want to make my boss proud. I
Right.
want everybody to be happy.
Because if I don't do good, then my boss may leave or get kicked out. So we got to do good.
Let's
I
move
got to
on.
do good. Sorry.
And Tiffany talks about me getting off track, man. Y'all. She was the main one. She was the first one to take us right off the rails. It's all good though, because now we got cards. Anyways, lastly, but not least, okay. What is the most important lesson you've learned about building and mentoring teams throughout your career?
Oh man, I wouldn't. If I had to say the most important, I would be leaving something out for sure. So I'm not going to say it's the most important, but I would say if anything, just to kind of sum up this entire conversation that we've just had here, is so important to when you hear the term invest in your people, invest in your staff.
Yeah.
To me, that means invest in who they are as an individual, right?
Mhm.
Now, I'm not going to connect with everybody that directly reports to me in the same way that I connected with you guys. That's just life. But I want to at least know like who you are as an individual, what motivates you, what gets you up in the morning, how can I help with that? By the way, what makes you laugh? Like, what do you find humorous? And do we share the same sense of humor? Can we have our own little like side jokes? Can I send you Slack messages while we're in meetings so that you can look like you're cracking up in a meeting and then have to shut off your camera.
Yeah.
You know, those types of things. So, again, so important to build relationships with your direct reports. And again, to what Tiffany said, it doesn't mean that, you know, you have to invite them over for cookies. Again, I would have come over for cookies, but they need to know that you care. You know, that's what it all comes down to. And I feel, you know, here we are years later, I can sit here and say with validity that you guys felt like I cared. At the same time, guess what? It was, you know, to me too, like I felt like you guys cared.
Mm.
You know, it's what we had. You said it already, like what we had, you just don't get at organizations. All right. Our team was special. It really was. You know, the current team that I have now where I'm currently, they're a great bunch of people too. And I've got some really great relationships. But man, there was something special about what we had,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's not Tiffany and Ashley there.
Wow.
There she goes, guys.
I'm sure they're great.
But it goes beyond Tiffany and Ashley.
Yeah,
right.
You know, even the other individuals on the team too. And, you know, it showed in how our team performed and responded to us. I mean, it felt like every day was just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a
It
good
didn't feel
time.
like work.
Mm-mm.
To be honest with you, like there was not one time where I was like, God damn it, I gotta go to work. Like, I mean, even though like majority of the time, like it was during COVID and like we were remote and stuff like that, but there wasn't a really any time where I was like, I don't want to turn on my computer, like I don't want to do this. And it was really because of the environment that we really worked hard on to foster for the people that we work directly with. And I can say without a shadow, I mean, we had what was our engagement score? Employee engagement score? It was like
98.
it was
high. It was the highest. I mean, I was shocked.
yeah.
You know, a customer service group does not score high on engagement or climate surveys. It just does not happen. But man, we did. Our team was basically telling us, look, we really enjoy what we do and we're having a good time.
Yeah.
And it felt like it, you know, that's the
Yeah.
thing. It really felt like it. And by the way, yes, it takes somebody to kind of oversee all of that and make sure that, you know, all of the ships are sailing in the right direction. But you guys did all the work. You know, I came in to what was already established. We just added on to it.
Right.
You know, so I say all that because you guys, I don't think you guys don't give yourself enough credit. But you were the foundation. You were. I mean, you
We worked our butts off there.
the other leader, you know, other leaders that were on the team too, you know, just gosh, it was just we had a really good time. And yes, it did not to me it there were maybe a few times, but most of the time it didn't feel like work.
Yeah.
It felt like I'm gonna go, you know, sign on and hang out with my friends and we're gonna get some stuff done.
Yeah. No, that's exactly how it felt. And I know that it wasn't just our department that felt that way. There were other departments who saw the camaraderie and the engagement that we had with everybody within our department. And I mean, they were kind of jealous. I'm not gonna lie. Like they were jealous. They were probably jealous because they just didn't have that bond and those relationships that we
Sure.
had on our side. And like it was, it was. I mean, it was a time. Like it was
Time to be alive.
It's time to be alive.
It was. And by the way, the relationships that you got, so, you know, the relationships that I built with all of you and the rest of the team, and then the relationships that you built with me and the rest of the team allowed part of the reason why it felt so good and we had the success that we had was because of those relationships. And then the other key piece that we didn't touch on at all, which is the feedback piece, right? So, and I know I started to talk about, you know, letting you fail. Look, there were times where you guys failed,
Right.
right? And I was there to tell you that you failed, but I never was ripping your head off because of it. It was more so of, all right, Ashley, Tiffany, yeah, messed up. but it was, you would learn from it by the way that I would, you know, tell you how you messed up, you know, so that you could learn from it. And it was always, we kind of turned it into a joke too, you know, but we were able to do that because of the relationships that we built with each other.
Yeah, because it's way different receiving feedback from somebody that maybe you don't feel comfortable receiving feedback from, right?
Right.
Whether they're like you report directly to them or not. it comes across completely different because one, you're not really used to hearing feedback from them, or the way that they provide feedback is trash. Like, and they're not great at being able
trash
Why you
person.
gotta look like
we already know who she's talking about. Anyways, but like, no, for real, like it's the way that people provide it. It's an art to it. There's an art to feedback. And like, and the way that you were able to do that, like you said, yes, it's based off all the relationships that you built with us. Like, no one's, like I said, no one, before, like, no one's perfect. No one's out here just giving excellent leadership and not like at some point fucking up and messing up and
Right.
doing wrong, but it's the way that you, like, how are you learning from your mistakes and then being able to apply that to the next time. And like, it all comes back down to leadership.
Yeah, for sure. And again, those relationships that you build within the team are so vital to that, to be able to do that successfully, right? I mean, could you imagine if you reported to somebody that you maybe saw or had a conversation with once a month,
Yeah.
and then they try to give you some feedback which is, for your betterment and performance, and it'd be kind of like, wait, where you been?
And
Like,
who are you?
why?
I forgot what you look like.
And it won't resonate.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
And be like, yeah, I heard you. I'll keep on going.
Yeah, no. And to sum it up, yeah, that's where we are at. No. So, okay. So to sum it all up, mentorship, leadership, the art of being able to provide feedback, just knowing that, like, hey, you're going to have to fail at some point, and letting you know and allowing you to fail is kind of like what our takeaways are from today. I can't thank you enough for being our guest on today's episode.
I was the first. Just
She's
let
the
go down.
first.
It's going down in history. Please hold. I was the
Yes,
first.
she's the first. So really, really, thank you. But that's all for our podcast today. Episodes of building and mentoring a successful team. We do hope that you found this discussion helpful and that you're able to kind of take some things away from it. Please comment below if you just want to add to the conversation. If there's anything that that you would like for us to talk about, on the next episode or on the next podcast. But yeah, please rate, review, subscribe, like, all that other stuff so that we can keep coming back, because this shit's expensive. And then, yeah, and follow us on IG, PleaseHold_podcast, or even email us a story. Like, we would love to hear your stories of whether, like, really bad bosses, really amazing bosses. I've had my really crappy stories of really bad bosses, but also have, of course, amazing stories of people that have been able to lead me. So yes, so that is it for today's episode. And then we will see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.